Now, Bernie Sanders is using his fundraising power to help retake the Senate. Now, the Hill reports that Bernie Sanders is now helping former Senator Russ Feingold's campaign to win back his Senate seat. Now, of course, Sanders in an email urged people on his fundraising list to support the Democrat from Wisconsin by writing this, quote, "We are going to have to elect candidates up and down the ballot who recognize that it is too late for establishment politics and economics." Okay, that's his usual message, right? And it's a good one. Now, Feingold, he's trying to take his seat back from Ron Johnson, who beat Feingold back in 2010 during the whole Tea Party thing, right? He's actually considered one of the most vulnerable GOP incumbents of this election cycle, which means this could be a seat Democrats could take back. We need 5 seats to take back the Senate. So it makes sense that Bernie Sanders is on board. In fact, he said, quote, "Russ led the fight with me to make the Affordable Care Act much stronger in 2009. He voted against the USA Patriot Act and the war in Iraq. He authored and passed landmark campaign finance reform legislation, and his campaign is powered by small dollar contributions like ours. Now he's running for U.S. Senate." Now, he mentioned campaign finance reform. That happens to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, issue facing us right now. You could argue the other one is climate change. I'll let you guys make the decision on what you think is more important, but they're definitely linked. Now, the primary objective of McCain-Feingold, which is what Russ Feingold had authored on campaign finance reform, was to ban political donations to political parties from wealthy individuals and corporations. Now, of course, I agree with that. Now, unfortunately, Congress has chipped away at that piece of legislation, as well as the Supreme Court, allowing more money in politics through Citizens United and then McCutcheon. That's why I believe, personally, we need some sort of amendment, something that Congress can't just arbitrarily chip at or overturn. We need something stronger to get the money out of politics. Now, the funny thing about this whole down-ballot situation is that Sanders has explicitly thrown his support behind some true progressives. People like Zephyr Teachout, Lucy Flores, and now Russ Feingold. Well, Hillary Clinton claims to be funding down-ballot Democrats, but actually uses that money, or uses that as a money laundering scheme. Now, I've covered the report from Politico that showed that 99% of all the money raised by Clinton's fundraising committee went to her campaign in the DNC, which will go back to her in a general election campaign. She's taking all the money and leaves the down-ballot Democrats the leftovers. Well, it sure sounds like Bernie Sanders is walking the walk, while Clinton only talks. Why? Because he actually believes in a progressive movement and wants to see government serve the people again, and not the corporations. In fact, he said, quote, "Bernie has always said this movement is about something bigger than him." And that's Jeff Weaver, actually, Sanders' campaign manager. "Electing more candidates like Russ Feingold means progressives in the Senate can ensure the debates in Washington put working families ahead of corporate profits." So what's the reaction from members of the Senate? Well, we have one, and that's from Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid. Now, he told reporters on Tuesday that he had spoken to Feingold and that he was, quote, "very happy that Senator Sanders is supporting him big time." Sounds like something Trump would say. Big time. Big deal. But hey, it actually is. Harry Reid knows that we've got to take back the Senate. And now Sanders is all in. And now a lot of his supporters are too. In fact, some of his former staff and volunteers that left his campaign after they were essentially done in the States, they have formed a political action committee called Brand New Congress. Now, what's their plan? Basically, it is what their name is. They're going to replace Congress all at once with lawmakers who agree with Bernie Sanders as well as the rest of America on policy. Now, you go down the list, policy by policy, things like universal health care. Even with Republicans, 41% of Republicans say we would like a Bernie Sanders single-payer health care plan. And 73% of Democrats. That's amazing. That's just one of the many different policy proposals that the American people agree with Bernie Sanders on. And this is what this whole movement is all about. And this is what this group is about, this PAC. Replace Congress with actual progressives that will actually want to enact progressive policies, instead of what we have now is corporate Democrats and Republicans that are blocking all sorts of progress. Now, with Sanders supporting actual progressives like Tim Canova and some of the others that I mentioned, Democrats could take back the Senate and actually start pushing for more progressive policies. That's a good thing. And really, that's what this political revolution is kind of all about. It's never been about just Bernie Sanders. It's about us. It's about the people and the policies that we want and that we care about. That's what this political revolution is about. And Bernie Sanders has been doing more and more to make sure that happens, with or without him in the White House.